Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a family of algorithms that have become a not-so-secret weapon in the world of machine learning.
So let's just get right to it. What is this secret weapon? What's the common thread that runs through the winners of so many Kaggle competitions and tough, real-world data challenges? Well, the answer isn't about finding one single perfect model. No, it's actually something much cleverer. To really get what boosting is all about, we first have to talk about this idea of the wisdom of crowds and why putting all your faith in a single expert model can be a pretty risky move.
I mean, this is the fundamental challenge for every data scientist, right? You've got your data, you've got your problem, so how do you go about building that one single flawless model that just gets everything right every single time?
The short answer? You don't. Yeah, really. The whole approach these days isn't about trying to find that one genius model. It's about building a highly effective team of them. And this is the central idea behind a really powerful technique called ensemble learning. So ensemble learning is basically the wisdom of the crowds principle, but for machine learning. Instead of trusting one super complex model that might have its own weird blind spots, you combine the predictions from a whole committee of simpler models. And here's the cool part. Even if each individual member is just a little bit better than random guessing, their combined vote is usually incredibly accurate and super reliable.
A perfect way to see this in action is to compare a single decision tree against a random forest. Okay, so think of the single tree as one expert who has memorized a textbook cover to cover. They might ace a test on that specific book, but throw them a question they've never seen before, and they could totally bomb. In our world, we call that overfitting. Now, the random forest, that's a whole committee of experts, and each one studied a different part of the library. By pulling all their knowledge together, you get a much more reliable answer that works way better on new, unseen problems.
Okay, so if building a team is the way to go, what's the smartest way to put that team together? This brings us to a really clever type of ensemble learning, and that is boosting. Now, unlike a random forest where all the decision trees are built kind of separately and in parallel, boosting builds its team one by one in a sequence. It's this amazing collaborative effort where every new member of the team is a specialist that's trained specifically to fix the mistakes that its teammates made before. Let's just walk through how this works, because it's pretty intuitive. First, you start with a really simple, weak model. It takes a first crack at making predictions. And of course, it's going to get some stuff wrong. But here's where the magic happens. The second model doesn't just look at all the data again. No, it pays extra special attention to the examples the first model messed up. This whole process just repeats round after round, with each new model zeroing in on the toughest cases. Then, at the very end, all the models get to vote on the final answer. But it's a weighted vote. The models that were more accurate get a much bigger say in the final decision. Now, this idea of learning from mistakes was a total game changer. But things got really revolutionary when people figured out how to make this process even more precise and way more powerful. You see, the first boosting algorithms were pretty simple. They focused on whether a prediction was just plain right or wrong. But what if you could get more granular than that? What if each new model could focus on fixing the size of the error? Exactly how much the prediction was off by. And that is the magic of gradient boosting. It's a total paradigm shift. Each new tree isn't just correcting simple mistakes anymore. It's actually being trained to predict the leftover error, the residual of the entire team so far. By adding these little error-correcting predictions one after another, the model is essentially taking tiny, smart steps to get closer and closer to a perfect score. And this finally brings us to the champions, the heavy hitters we hinted at right at the start, algorithms like XGBoost and CatBoost. These are the modern, souped-up, supercharged versions of gradient boosting. They take that amazing core idea and then just strap a rocket engine to it with all sorts of performance optimizations and really clever features. So let's do it. Let's put these two titans, XGBoost and CatBoost, head to head. What really makes them different? And more importantly, how do you decide which one you should be using? Okay, so at a high level, you can think of them as having totally different philosophies. XGBoost is all about raw, brute force speed and scalability. It expects you to do the prep work and get your data just right, especially those tricky categorical features.
CatBoost, on the other hand, is built for convenience and, well, for being smart. It's famous for its ability to handle categorical data automatically and really, really well, which can save a data scientist a ton of time and effort.
So where does XGBoost get that extreme in its name? Well, it comes from pure engineering muscle. This thing is built for speed. It uses parallel processing to max out every core on your CPU. It's got advanced regularization techniques baked in to fight overfitting. It even intelligently prunes its own trees to keep them from getting too complex. It's designed to squeeze every last drop of performance out of your hardware.
CatBoost's special move, on the other hand, is all about brain power. Its absolute killer feature is how it automatically and intelligently handles categorical variables, which, trust me, is often a huge headache. It can also deal with missing values right out of the box, and it uses this unique technique called ordered boosting to build more robust models that are even less likely to overfit. It's just smart.
So we've met the champions. We know they're powerful, fast, and smart. But does that mean you should just always grab one of them for every single problem you face?
This brings us to probably the most important point of all. There's no such thing as a silver bullet in data science. The best practitioners don't just reach for the shiniest, most complex tool in the box. No, they follow a process. They start simple, and they only bring in the heavy hitters when the problem really truly calls for it.
And this life cycle shows you exactly what I mean. Look at where modeling fits in. Choosing an algorithm like XGBoost is just one step. Step 4. All that critical work that comes before it, defining the problem, cleaning the data, exploring it, that's what really sets you up for success. Because, let's be honest, the fanciest model in the world is completely useless if you're feeding it messy data or asking it the wrong question.
And if you take one thing away from this explainer, let it be this. The best algorithm in the world cannot save bad data. Your model is only ever going to be as good as the data you give it. That time you spend on feature engineering, on understanding your data's quirks, on cleaning things up, it is never wasted time. In fact, that's the work that lets these powerful algorithms truly shine.
So as we wrap things up, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. You've met the champions. You know the secret weapon now. But the real question is, have you done the hard work on your data to make it worthy of their power?